Okay. Hi there. I'm Scott. With recording um, dialogues in for the chapter 4 of Being Guided, Lessons from the Inner Beloved. And we're in chapter 4, dialoguing with the resistance itself. So this is in the section called Alternatives of What to Do when we're getting some resistance. So this is something that I've done, and I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. Sorry about that. Let's see. Just what is he looking at over there? So this is a script for doing things when when you're getting resistance from your inner self or your inner beloved. I've used this with clients before, and I'll no doubt do it again. If you're receiving images of resistance, I want you to close your eyes and take yourself to that beautiful place that we talked about before, a place where you feel safe and accepted, a place where you can talk with your inner beloved. But you're getting some resistance. And so when you get there, you may find that the symbols of resistance are there in whatever form. There is nevertheless, a sense of that where you are now in your imagination, now that you're relaxed, that anything can happen and it will be healing and emotionally valid. You need to stay aware and reverent because you are a student here. You're not in charge, but you need to be active because we're going to be trying to figure out how to overcome the resistance. Be sure not to let your inner self take over. When there's resistance, sometimes they'll try to take over, and you don't want to do that. And you can ask, but you should let your inner self, nevertheless, guide you, show you, and talk to you. You should help it out. You should be an assistant and a student. All right. So at this point, if you haven't already, get yourself completely relaxed. Use the box breathing, as I've described elsewhere, and in Appendix A. Now we're going to say a little prayer, but the prayer is not necessarily to any deity, it's to your inner self, because prayer seems to work pretty well. So this is an example of a little prayer you can say to yourself. You're sitting there in your safe place. Divine presence, guiding light of my path, thank you for your constant presence. Please accept my heart as an offering, a vessel to your wisdom. Forgive my shortcomings as I strive for harmony and self-knowledge. May my dreams be a mirror reflecting truth I may not see. Help me to interpret the symbols and unlock the secrets that they hold. Let me return from this dialogue with clarity inspired by your divine guidance. So you are in your beautiful place now, and you have invited your inner beloved, but there is resistance. And when you open the door to your inner guide, you just say hooded figures or guards standing at the gate, or a presence that looms and intimidates you. In some way, something is stopping you or intruding on you. And this is a dialogue with the resistance. You're going to need to ask some questions because you're being blocked or resisted. So try some of these questions. And at any point, just put it on pause and think of other things to say. So are you willing to leave your post at guarding me and let me enter so I can speak with my inner beloved? Here's another one. Can you send someone else instead of a guard? Can you send someone to talk to me? Can you explain who or what it is that you're trying to protect me from? You know, do you understand that I cannot heal you or me if you stop me from talking to my inner beloved? This dialogue needs to proceed. You may want to You'll have to sit there and wait patiently and for any thoughts, feelings, or images to come to you. If it becomes threatening or terrifying, obviously you'll have to either ask for some other image or just get out, but hopefully something will come through. Um, Here's some other things to try, questions to try. What is in the way of me receiving your validation and your guidance? Do I need to forgive myself or someone else in my life that has created these guards that block me? What would that look like? Now, there is a section in the book on forgiveness. You'll have to look that up and try that too. Um, so, again, you might want to put this on pause and go back and rerun those questions again and see if you can get some sort of response. You need to take your time with this. You may have to do this several days in a row, trying to figure out how to get through. You may need to do some creative journaling in order to ask better, in order to develop better questions than the ones I suggested that are appropriate for your own situation. And you can rinse and repeat as needed. You want to think about something here. Think about what it feels like to be truly seen and validated by your inner guide. What messages does your inner self want you to hear right now? You know, because the truth is that your inner beloved knows what you need, and once it's not upset or guarding you and trying to save you, you're probably going to end up being in a really great situation where the two of you can talk together. What messages does your inner self want you to hear right now? That's a good question to ask it. Once this is done, slowly open your eyes and come back to your body. Do whatever ritual you need to awaken yourself. Be sure to thank your inner self, cooperative or not, for at least being in there and engaging with you. I can tell you that probably 90% of everybody that's done this sort of exercise finds that the blockade is broken and that there is better communication, and or else you just get used to it and you start becoming more attuned to the subtle things that and the way that it communicates with you. Because remember, you're not talking to your conscious self. You are your conscious self. You're talking to your unconscious self, and there's voices. You can use self-talk. You can use journaling. You can do this imaging stuff, which is actually much more powerful. I want to, at this point out that you can use this exact same script, but instead of talking to your resistance, you can talk to your fear. And you can ask your questions of your fear, the same way that you do that with your resistance. What are you afraid of? What is it that we're so afraid of that you think there's going to be some sort of damage? Remind your inner beloved that short of insanity, which is you can't make yourself insane, you can ask difficult questions. There's nothing to fear in the virtual parts of your mind. It's just simply a matter of what you're allowing yourself to think and feel. If you need to cry and scream and be upset for a while, well, so be it. That's how people have breakthroughs. Talking to your resistance, talking to your fear. These are good ideas to have. And of course, I've mentioned in the book being persistent. I think if you do this for several days in a row, just for 30 minutes at the most, and just try, you'll get somewhere. Something will break through somewhere, either through your dreams, your imaginings, your journaling, your self-talk, possibly through art if you're artistic at all, or something maybe suddenly break through as an emergent thought, which is usually your unconscious saying, "Hey, look at that." And with that, I think I am done with probably done with chapter 4 uh, scripts.